Heat kills more Americans every year than hurricanes, floods, and tornadoes combined. Not frostbite, not hypothermia, heat. And the number one place people die during a heat wave isn't outside. It's inside their homes, in rooms that trap heat like ovens, without electricity to run the air conditioning that modern housing was designed to require. This video is about how to survive extreme heat without power. What actually works, what kills you faster than the heat does, and the specific low-cost methods used to keep body temperature survivable when the grid goes down in summer and your home becomes a slow cooker. When outdoor temperature hits 100 degrees Fahrenheit and your power dies, your home doesn't stay cool. It absorbs heat through walls, roof, and windows and radiates it back inward. A well-insulated modern house with no AC running in a heat wave becomes hotter inside than outside within 4 to 6 hours. Attic temperatures can reach 150 degrees Fahrenheit and conduct that heat directly into your living space. You're not safe indoors by default. You're in a passive heat collector. Here's the math that matters. Your body core temperature needs to stay below 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Above that, proteins in your cells begin to denature. Organs fail. At 107 degrees Fahrenheit core temperature, brain damage begins. Heat stroke, not heat exhaustion, heat stroke, kills within hours if untreated and has a fatality rate of up to 63%, even with hospital intervention. Your body manages core temperature through sweating, but sweating requires two things: hydration and the ability to evaporate. In high humidity, sweat cannot evaporate efficiently. Your cooling system stops working. Core temperature climbs. This is how people die in their own bedrooms. The biology of heat death is simple. You stop being able to cool yourself faster than the environment heats you, and it happens quietly. No dramatic symptoms until it's already critical. Hour 1 after power loss. Indoor temperature 85 degrees Fahrenheit and rising. This is your window, not hour 6. Hour 1. The first thing most people do is open windows. Wrong. If outdoor air is hotter than indoor air, which it will be during a heat wave, opening windows pumps hot air directly into your home and accelerates the problem. Keep windows closed and covered during peak heat hours, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Open them only after outdoor temperature drops below indoor temperature, typically after 8 p.m. The second mistake is using ceiling fans to cool a room. Ceiling fans don't lower room temperature. They create a wind chill effect on skin. In an empty room, a running fan raises temperature slightly by converting electrical energy to heat. If you're not in the room, turn the fan off. It's making things worse. Here's what actually works. Thermal barriers first. Heat enters your home primarily through windows and the roof. Reflective mylar emergency blankets, the same $2 survival blankets sold in camping sections, taped across south and west-facing windows, reflect up to 97% of radiant solar heat before it enters the glass. Not curtains, not blinds. Reflective barriers. A single west-facing window during afternoon sun can add 1,000 BTUs of heat per hour to a room. Block it before it enters. Wet towels hung across doorways and open windows after dark create evaporative cooling as air passes through them. This is the same principle as a swamp cooler, which is simply a pump and wet pads. You're building the manual version for free. In low humidity environments, this can drop perceived temperature by 10 to 15 degrees. In high humidity, it's less effective, but still provides measurable relief. The body cooling hierarchy. This is what most people get backwards. Cooling the air around you is inefficient. Cooling your body directly is what keeps you alive. Your body loses heat through 4 pathways: evaporation, conduction, convection, and radiation. In a heat emergency, you want to maximize all 4 simultaneously. Evaporation. Keep skin wet. Spray bottle with water misted on exposed skin every 15 minutes. Don't wipe it off, let it evaporate. Each gram of water that evaporates from skin removes 0.58 calories of heat from the body. This is thermodynamics working for you instead of against you. Conduction. Direct contact with cool surfaces. Lie on a tile or concrete floor. These materials absorb body heat by direct contact faster than fabric or wood. A wet sheet laid on a tile floor with you lying on it combines evaporative and conductive cooling simultaneously. Convection. Moving air across wet skin. Even a battery-powered fan blowing across misted skin creates significant cooling effect. A small USB fan running on a power bank costs $12 and runs 8 to 12 hours. This is not luxury. In extreme heat, this is the difference between manageable discomfort and heat stroke. Radiation. Reduce heat absorbed from surfaces. Wear loose, light-colored, breathable clothing. Dark surfaces absorb radiant heat. Light surfaces reflect it. This applies to your clothing and to the surfaces in your room. The cold water protocol. If you have running water and a functional water heater, you have stored thermal mass. A bathtub filled with cold water is 300 to 400 pounds of thermal mass that absorbs heat from your living space as it slowly warms. Submerging your body in cool water, not ice cold, 68 to 77 degrees Fahrenheit is optimal, drops core temperature rapidly and safely. 15 minutes of cool water immersion resets your thermal baseline and gives your body 60 to 90 minutes of easier temperature regulation afterward. No bathtub access? Fill plastic bottles with cold water. Press them against the wrists, neck, inner elbows, and behind the knees. These are arterial points where blood vessels run close to the surface. Cooling blood at these points cools the entire body faster than cooling the skin generally. This is the same logic emergency responders use when treating heat stroke patients before hospital transport. Hydration is not optional. It is the mechanism. Your body cannot sweat without water. Every degree of sweating-based cooling requires adequate fluid intake to sustain. In extreme heat, an adult loses 1 to 1.5 liters of fluid per hour through sweat. Plain water rehydrates, but doesn't replace electrolytes. After 2 hours of heavy sweating, electrolyte depletion begins to impair muscle and nerve function. Add a pinch of salt and a small amount of sugar to water, or use oral rehydration salts, the same packets used in field medicine, available for $8 for a 20-pack. This is not sports drink marketing. This is cellular chemistry. What kills people who try the wrong things? Alcohol vasodilates blood vessels, increases fluid loss, impairs the brain's ability to detect heat stress. You feel cooler briefly and get hotter faster. During a heat wave, alcohol is a direct contributor to heat death. Staying on upper floors, heat rises. The difference between a ground floor and a top floor in a powerless building during a heat wave can be 15 to 20 degrees. If you have a basement, use it. If you don't, the lowest floor is your survival zone. Overexertion. Every physical activity generates metabolic heat. During a heat emergency, movement is a thermal cost. Do the minimum. Prepare your cooling setup once and stay still, ignoring the elderly and children. Their thermoregulation is less efficient. Core temperature rises faster. Fatality rates in heat events are disproportionately concentrated in people over 65 and children under 4. If you're preparing for yourself and also responsible for others in either category, their cooling is the priority, not yours. The $30 preparation that changes everything. Reflective mylar emergency blankets, $8 for a 5-pack. Cover windows. Reflect heat before it enters. Battery-powered USB fan, $12. Run on power bank. Direct airflow across wet skin. Oral rehydration salts, $8 for 20 packets. Maintain electrolyte balance during extended sweating. Spray bottle, $2. Mist skin, every 15 minutes during peak heat hours. Total, $30. This is your heat survival kit. The grid fails during heat waves specifically because everyone runs AC simultaneously and demand exceeds capacity. This is not a rare event. It is a predictable seasonal failure that has killed thousands of people in the United States, Europe, and Asia in documented heat events over the past 2 decades. The 2003 European heat wave killed 70,000 people. Most of them died indoors. They didn't die outside in the sun. They died in homes that became heat traps because they had no plan and no preparation for the day the electricity stopped. You have a plan now. Reflective barriers on windows before peak heat hours. Body cooling through evaporation, conduction, and arterial points. Electrolyte balanced hydration. Lowest floor of the building. Battery-powered airflow across wet skin. The grid will fail again. Summer doesn't wait for you to be ready. Heat doesn't announce itself. But $30 in supplies and 1 afternoon of preparation means the next heat wave is an inconvenience instead of an emergency. Most people will do nothing with this. They'll assume the power will stay on because it usually does. They'll find out it doesn't during the next heat event in a room that's 95 degrees Fahrenheit at midnight with no plan and no supplies and a body that's already 2 hours into heat stress. You know what to do. The question is whether you'll do it before you need to.